Hello and welcome back to the Eternal Dawn YouTube channel. It is I, the captain of the ship, Straw Hat Lucas. How are we doing out there tonight, guys? We are doing a live chapter discussion this week. That is right, on the day of chapter release. Not something we do very often, but we're going to have fun with it. We're going to spit some spicy theories, and I'm going to let my crew introduce themselves real quick. First up is the head cook of the Eternal Dawn, Mr. Vexus, the lurking legend. How are you today, Vex? Yeah, I'm super duper excited for today. Next up is the helmsman of the crew. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. It's not Donkey Kong, it's Knack Reacts. Yeah. What? Oh no!
Brother.
Guys, it's not recording. No, no, we're good. We're good. Hello, guys. You should be able to hear the rest of the crew now.
I'll crash out.
He said I will crash out.
Crash out.
We're all here. Don't worry, chat. We are all here. And last but certainly least, Mr. Kube of the Red Sea, the historian and first mate. This guy.
Dude,
this guy.
I couldn't.
We are all here.
No, sorry. I
here.
could. Discord did not want me to unmute. I had to click 10 times before the unmute button reacted. Sorry. QB Reversi. What's up, guys? Someone was trying to silence me, but I am here for this chapter discussion, dude. It is a great time to be a One Piece fan. I think this is, for someone who's been reading it at least 20 plus years, I'm telling you, this is a lot of things that goes back to the East Blue is making more and more sense. So I'm very happy to be able to be there with my brothers to talk about this crazy chapter.
Yeah, this is woo. This is some peak.
Wilson.
History in the making.
Wilson,
History
now
in
he
the.
can hear French.
Yeah, man, he can hear French.
Yeah,
We love it.
Just
This
a
is
little
why
bit
we
of-
love going live. We miss you, chat.
a little bit
This is
of
amazing.
Yeah, a little bit of behind the scenes lore, chat. This has been the week of technical difficulties, but we had to give you our opinions. We had to vibe with you, and it's been a minute, since we've done like a One Piece chapter focused stream. So, like I said, when nobody could hear me, we were happy to do it for you today.
Yes. Very excited to talk about the chapter. And let's dive right in, guys. Yamato cover story still going on.
Oh my god.
5 more years, baby.
5 more years. Yes, sir. Let's go. I don't have much to say about it. People think it's ending. I think that's premature. We mentioned Amigasa Village and Kawamatsu for a reason. There's like Ulti's still holding onto the hat. 5 more years, baby. This is only one leg of the journey.
This is the last cover story. It'll go until the final war.
Bro, you might not be wrong with the way this chapter went, too.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my
Ooh.
god, dude. Yeah, this was a wild chapter. I have like a lot of people have been talking theory wise how this was probably one of the most impactful to like the future of the story chapters that we've gotten outside of 1044 itself and the mural more recently. But like this is insane, guys.
But
Like,
to even be up in that level, that's a
Yeah.
high bar.
Listen, we said it last chapter discussion. I'm going to reiterate it right here, right now, live. Since the beginning of 2025, Oda has just been straight cooking. He has not stopped. We've gotten so much this year.
He's been cooking.
I feel ripe and fat from the feast Oda Sensei has given us this year. Very weird way to put it. Let's dive into this chapter.
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. The children. Oh, thank goodness, they're safe. No, so the giant ensemble has come to get the children. Yes. Oh, go ahead, Vex.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I don't think we need to do like the whole page to page thing like that we normally do in our recorded discussions.
You're right.
How does chat feel? Where does chat want to begin?
Chat, where do you want us to start?
I think we get straight to the meat. You know what I mean?
I do too. I was gonna power through a recap real fast. So giants show up. Gunkimu, Amunko, Gimu.
This is what happened during our recording.
Has wings. Is a devil. Lucas was right. Yeah. Robin wants to throw down as well. Good stuff. That's enough of a recap, guys. Let's get into this. All right. So Emu has shown up on Elbaf, and they have revealed that their power is to bind people within contracts and turn them into, no other way to say it, demons.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. Fiends.
Powerful
Devils.
Demons. Ghouls.
Thralls.
Yeah, so like this chapter is coming off last week when we seen the possession happen for Gunko, and that was a wild jump in and of itself. And now we see, the giants go running into battle and turn on their own into what looks like oars. I'm not gonna lie, people have pointed it out, but they all basically become their own version of oars.
Or like Loki, yeah. To be a little bit closer to home on it, it's like they look like they're about 3 sides.
The hockey shotgun is wild. I'm sorry, Max. Continue. That got me. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
I don't know. I just got derailed, but yeah,
I'm so sorry.
It's crazy that Kush keeps getting first. I don't see how this is possible, but no, we got a lot. Specifically, we see Emu. Not just the transformation, like the Gunko Emu transformation, but we also see the pulling out of what seems to be like a little tiny circle of this book, this grimoire type thing, which we're going to talk so much about that, trust me. And that's how they summoned a dagger and a shotgun, and then through some sort of maybe incantation. There is so much that was set up this chapter, and it was a shorter chapter, I believe, right? Like TCB even made it 1 page shorter.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, right? Like, we're bouncing off the walls with the stuff. We got the but I don't want to brush past it because Robin here, man, she's going through it with all this stuff, watching the library. I need to see my girl get some redemption.
Yeah.
She had such a power play 2 chapters ago, and to be here watching her struggle now, it's geez, come on.
Yeah, I want to see her break out of the confines and actually start fighting back. Sorry, Cube, go ahead.
There's one character that I do, if we get a backstory, he could not be in the story. It's a bit like Anel. I would like to get a backstory where we get what he knew, and that's Doflamingo. Because that is very similar to the sugar whole situation.
Oh, yeah.
Forceful, they say contract, but usually a contract is an agreement on both sides, and it's similar. Like, one side chose everything. So him saying I know all their secrets, the national treasure, everything, it makes Doflamingo wasn't just fibbing. He knew stuff. He definitely knew stuff.
Well, it's not just that. I want to talk about, it's going to tie into exactly what you just said, Cube. So again, this is another instance of me and you having the same brain cell. I feel it's good. But we see Doflamingo specifically puppeteering, marionette mastering with King Riku Doldu III, and he specifically took over a king, which is something that a lot of people are speculating might be pivotal in the prerequisites for Emu's possession power, because they made such a big deal about Dori and Brogi declaring themselves as the kings of Elbaf and disposing of Ja Rule. So I think that scene, which is already one of my favorite scenes, we did a stream on this channel a long time ago, it feels like now, where we talked about some of our most emotionally impactful scenes. Seeing King Riku having his like body controlled by Doflamingo and having to slaughter his own countrymen against his will. That is one of the most impactful scenes that I've ever witnessed in One Piece in anime or manga form. And I don't think enough people consider it, because you have your I want to live, you have your please help me's, you have your Raizo is safe and stuff like that. And like I think a lot of people slept on that scene. It is so significant right now, though, with seeing what we saw this chapter, I feel like.
Definitely. And I'm also wondering.
We had a long conversation about. Oh, sorry, Cube. But just to bounce off Vex right quick, we had a long conversation about the possibility that this first little speech from Emu, where she, whatever we're looking at here, Gimu, is
yes,
is saying a spell or an incantation. Like she's uninterrupted in her speech. She doesn't let Dory grabbing a hold of her stop. She doesn't let all the madness with the giants stop what she's saying. She finishes what she has to say and then says enough of this, and then pulls out like the hockey shotgun. Shout out to chat for that one. That's a great line.
It's so good. But, I do.
So,
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Cube.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to add with everything and the whole Doflamingo situation, but especially with the whole Loki, because I'm happy you guys brought it up. Is I'm now convinced whoever has the head of not making Loki a king 14 years ago, I'm wondering if he knew that detail. They want to make Dorian Broggy king. The only reason why there was no king 14 years ago is because of the whole King Harold thing, and they stalled it because of Loki. Like this, it's a Regent thing. I'm wondering if there's someone who might have known more details of it and use that until we have no king, the world government can get to us. Like I'm wondering if that's like might have the reason why for 14 years they've been fighting on who will become the next king, because they don't want
it's something that the world government does as soon as they get in control of the country, right? Is in state a king. The minute they took out the 20 kings when they swore fealty to the empty throne back in the day, they instituted another family immediately that, you know what I mean, would take the place of the king. I do think it's very, very telling the way that Emu set up their sentence structure. Before we get too deep into the powers, in Knack, you had mentioned Robin earlier. Vex had an amazing take on this when we were discussing things in the Discord, link in the description, that Robin, with her knowledge of ancient languages and everything, will be able to maybe read the book. And that is insane.
That's not solely my take. I can't claim that one. I think I saw somebody talking about it in Dax Ake's live reaction. But I did have an interesting thought that maybe she's been playing her cards very close to her chest all post time skip. Like, remember, it was a huge deal when we found out she could fly. And then Demonio Fleur was also groundbreaking, and it is so much more significant now seeing what we see and Emu's transformation or Gunko's transformation this chapter. But also we were mentioning Knack, you said that she needs that W, she needs to be able to shine, and she's being withheld right now by a lot of us were thinking maybe if Scopper was disposed of, that not Scopper, Sommers. If Sommers' powers would fade because he was dealt with by Scopper, but we see him okay. He's fine. He's hurt, but he seems to be okay. So that's something we'll talk about more later in the stream. But that means that Robin isn't just gonna be able to get freed, out of nowhere. She's going to have to, if she's gonna be able to free herself. I think the easiest way to do it would be kind of throwing it back to something we saw in Punk Hazard, which is we saw with Law, he was able to do the heart switching, and their personalities, their mindfulness, their consciousness, their sense of self followed where the heart went, which, that could be tied in with the 21 grams, the soul that we were talking about, all egghead long and whatnot. But if she is able to form a clone of herself outside of the Thorn prison and then somehow transfer her soul or heart into it, then she could basically just completely body swap, maybe potentially using her powers, which is it would be so cool. And I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, it's such an amazing idea because I've always wondered how the Hana Hana no Mi would awaken, and I think that being a possibility of awakening or like some higher echelon of the devil fruit is fascinating. Like, I need to see something like that.
Well, we can't forget what happened there 2 chapters ago. Like that, she's supposed to take the damage, and we see she is taking damage still right now. And there's no damage to her face from that spear through the dome. I'm just saying. I know it's graphic or YouTube, but like, you know, that should have been some serious stuff.
And I could see actually there is a move that she knows about that she's basically lost to, and it's an assassin move, Cypher Pulse Rokushiki, which is paper art. Which when we saw Gonko, we're seeing Summers and Gonko when they reform, they do look like their bodies are like crumbling like papers in reverse. You know what I mean? Like a bit like Sodabark, the zombies, the bodies
well, we can
that
touch
just
on that for sure, because the way Summers comes back together. But I like the idea that you're going with there with the paper art, because we've seen Stussy dodge attacks with it as well. But more about that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did finish. And what's interesting, the comment of Kanye paper art is solely used for assassination. Which when Robin joined the Straw Hats, they asked her, "What's your expertise?" Assassination. Killing. So that's why I'm wondering if we're going to that spectrum because of that. It's a solely an assassination move, which is interesting.
Well, we had another chat about like potentially what this power system could be like too, like what Robin equals as, and I like where Vex was saying like with Katakuri being like the ultimate user of a paramecia, he uses his paramecia like a Logia in order to dodge damage at the same time. I wonder if Robin is pulling the same trick here.
Yeah, if you're able to conjure and dismiss what your devil fruit, like his is mochi, hers is her appendages. If she, maybe the reason why she didn't take damage in that instance was because she was able to like dismiss the parts of her clones or whatever that would have been taking the damage before the damage actually took hold. Which I think would be so cool to be like a special paramecia. We need another one, honestly.
Well, I've been saying it since Wano, since Demonio Floor, that Robin has to be close to awakening, because if that wasn't awakening, like, what the hell was it? You know what I mean? Like, she shapeshifted a form, which we had never seen her do before. We had never seen her do anything but larger limbs. And then we see she grows herself horns, wings. Like, it's really well done. And then with Emu also saying the whole line about like to become a demon is to become perfection or something like that, I think is what it's something like that in the officials here. I will actually look right into it, but nonetheless,
well, not just that. Robin says if it takes me, I'll become a demon to save my crew, right? Like
yeah, exactly. But, and that's what I was getting at is that like it's so fitting that Robin may be someone who could actually, I wouldn't say defeat Emu or anything like that. I would never go that far, but maybe be key in defeating Emu because of what they can gain from. What's the words I'm looking for?
We all know Oda's a bit of a troll sometimes, and he gave an answer in SBS years ago about like what fruit he would want, and he said Robin's. What if it's like Robin's turns out to be the ultimate fruit at the end of all this? Like that'd be amazing, because it's very similar the way she transforms and the way the giants transform later in the chapter. She gets bigger, grows horns, tail, like it's all very similar.
You know who has hands? Man. The devil, and he uses them for holding. No, sorry.
But it'd be so funny if Oda was like putting a nod like way back in the day, like pay attention to Robin's fruit because this is the one I'd pick, and everybody's just like, oh, Oda's just lazy and would want to write like and do other things at the same time, but it's actually like the key to all this. That'd be incredible.
So honestly, there is some take on the whole. Let's go a bit on the Robin, the whole awakening stuff, because I do feel like there's a similarity between Law and Luffy. So Law, we see his awakening after Dressrosa. After he went more of a sort of a physical obstacle, it was more like an emotional. He had to do stuff of his past. Similar way, Luffy and Wano, the type of work he had to do was more about the maturity thing, about the people's struggles, and more that he became a true liberator. And in this arc, Robin is going like that's why I feel like Robin might be close because it was not a physical obstacle. It was an emotional one. You know, it's about the power, the body and the mind. She's ready body mind, but maybe this arc, the mind will enable her to finally get to that awakening form, you know, that she's been trying to get. I could see it.
Yeah. Ooh, spicy stuff, boys. Spicy stuff.
Well, let's get into the real like probably the most gruesome or brutal panel we've ever gotten in One Piece here, with a truly wholesome character. Like, yeah.
Well, when I was rereading the Viz, it made me wonder if you need the blood of the person to fulfill the terms of the contract. Obviously, Imu was trying to free themselves,
take on it,
but they made sure that hand fell right into that circle as well. You know what I mean?
Well, my pushback on that would be that so many others turned in between. And like,
I think that might be why they
only attacked a single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that might be why they need somebody of a position of power. Is like if Imu via Gunko is trying to like think of it like a chessboard. You're not gonna try to capture, like if you were to promote, you're not gonna like promote into a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You'd promote into like a queen or like a king in this instance, you know, or two kings even. Like, but like, you know, like it's not a full analogous, but a lot of people were mentioning the parallels to obviously with Reversi or Go. And like so capturing pieces is a very pivotal thing, and you're not going to capture a completely useless piece. You're going to want a piece that can also further capture other pieces as well. So I think it's like a bit of a domino effect if we're going to, you know, continue down the whole board game theming. But like I do think that was important, is that they're not trying to just, if there's like, let's say 1,000 people on Elbaf, they're not going to try to use their power 1,000 separate times when they can do it once or twice, and then that cascade effect has these other powerful pieces capturing the lesser powerful pieces.
Yeah, and to bounce off that, like she elevates them to king, but not only that, the people of Elbaf were already following Dorian Bragi. They were right behind him into battle, so it's almost like they had accepted Dorian Bragi as leaders, and then Imu also made the declaration that they're the leaders, and it's like this combo effect that everybody under them in between, because there's no touch between Imu and the other giants that transform we see at the end, but they're all turned.
Yeah. I think, do we think that's an additional spell, or is it, like Vex said, a cascading effect that once their leaders that's become turned, they start
kind of what's
like
implied,
making pawns?
I think, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't see anybody else turn, but we do see the panel of 1, 2, 3 more giants also going in, transforming, that are in between Dory and Bragi,
having their world turned upside down.
I think that it's more intuitive, you know, like if you only have, think of it like a hybrid engine, you know, like you only have so much gas in the tank, but like that's ultimately helping. Like it's just it seems more. Why else would the king stuff be entirely important or necessary if not for to impose authority beyond just Gunko or Emus? You know what I mean? There could be tiers to this, in that Emu themselves is sitting at the very, very top. Gunko is a layer beneath them, and now Dory and Brogy, unfortunately, are a layer beneath Gunko
them
even.
as
so
well.
like I'm seeing, so the cascading effect seems like it does make a lot of sense. Is in establishing a hierarchy.
And
Kush brings up, like, if this is why Emu hadn't come to Elbaf before, is because they weren't united under a single cause up till this point. Like maybe Herald was attempt number 1, Loki stopped it, and they haven't been united since.
Yeah. Kube, what was that?
Yeah, and for me, I won't lie, I think that's what happened with the 20 Kings. Something happened during that last time when they came all together 800 years ago, where one of them refused for some reason and fled, and then the foundation of the world come, everything happened. So, and the way it's worded, like it's almost like they're rewriting Dorian Bragi. At least, you know, the ones they're making king, they're rewriting his story a bit similar to with Sugar, and the whole thing of the 20 Kings is a reverie. I'm starting to believe that Emu did really launch a reverie over 800 years ago, rewriting people's history. Like that could also explain.
And when you say reverie, you're referring to like a dream world or
an evil
manifestation of
reverie fables
something.
is an evil doer is about to lose and doesn't want to lose, so launches a sort of spell. Sometimes with skulls, it's connected to magic, where the heroes is basically like Dressrosa. And one night, his memories are forgotten, and it's a new world order, unaware. And the only way to break a reverie is to become the hero you once were, which is very similar to Dressrosa. So I'm not even wondering, what if that's why they call the meaning of the kings a reverie, because they took over the world 800 years ago by using a similar thing. You know, it's like it's a way at the same time. Maybe the Gors say like mocking them at the same time. You're hosting a kingship of a reverie, not realizing that's what we did to you guys all those years ago. Like maybe the 20 kings are also another victim.
Well, that's like there's a big prominence now on the term king. We have, you know, our future king of the pirates. We have Blackbeard, like goal to be king of Hachinosu. We have Shirahoshi, who's going to be the queen of Fishman Island, and we got Vivi, who's going to be the queen of Alabasta. All of them had their pictures tore up by Emu in the royal room, and they're all in line to be royalty at some point. Maybe that's what she's keeping an eye on. He's keeping an eye on.
Ooh, that's a good point. Because Blackbeard or Luffy could be king of the pirates.
Well, Blackbeard already wants to be king of Hachinosu.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
king of the Pirate Isle.
He wants his nation recognized by the world government. And then like those pictures that we were seeing Emu stare at in the butterfly garden are all very significant, and that means that like because we see Vivi, who now that Cobra is out of the picture, is the rightful leader of the Alabasta nation, and also ties to Lily, which everyone's got their own Emu Lily theories. But
first thing said after Cobra was taken out as well was "Bring me Vivi." It's like, is that a contract waiting to happen?
Yeah, Shirahoshi being one of potentially the sovereigns that were mentioned by the Sea Kings down there when we were in Fishman Island, and also having the power of a literal ancient weapon, which clearly Emu is interested in pursuing the Mother Flame as well. So if they were to eliminate land and then control sea and sky, that would be huge. Luffy wanting to be king of the pirates is, I don't know if I fully buy into that as far as to why they would have his picture, but maybe they were already wise to the fact that he had the dormant Nika powers, because that was pre-awakening. But then with the Blackbeard wanting to have his, with that part of his plan being revealed later on, I think all of those pictures, there's a bit more of a recontextualization to that, given this, maybe this sovereignty is maybe not a full prerequisite for Emu's powers, but just something that, like, instead of like I said, you wouldn't want to promote into a pawn. Like, maybe they really want powerful pieces only, and then they can have those people do their work for them.
I can actually see something with the whole Lily thing. Let's say if Emu did take over Lily, the way it's phrased with Emu right now in this arc, like, the contract isn't over yet. You need to first take Carol's head and then proclaim, and then it's fully like. If this is like similar to Reverie,
Harold can
yeah. And so my thing is that it does seem like they rewrote right now the Giants, right? But that means that maybe their old self are still there. So I'm wondering if when it's permanent, even though like you become this new person, what if the painting just like it's a representation of the memories that was taken away from that person? Like if Lily became completely, Emu, Emu/Lily. Like in this situation, like what if Dorian Broggy right now, there's still a chance to bring them back. Well, until once the contract is over, the memories are gone.
If the contract doesn't get completed, and Harold, as we see at the end of this chapter, we all been slandering him for weeks now, and I'll still make jokes about him. But excuse me, not Harold, Ja Rule. But he stands on business at the end of this chapter. He's not afraid to go anywhere. So if he is able to stave this off and like prevent them from I don't know, is there a time limit involved? That's gonna be a questionable thing. Like, he ain't
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, if Ja Rule survives one hit from any of these transformed like giants, I have no idea. Like, we're scaling 5-year-old Lin to the top of the verse, baby. Like, this is crazy. I can't.
You got me with that one.
Like, don't do this, Oda. John is gonna get one tapped.
Like, and the boys are looking demonic. Like, the bat wings and the trident, they are looking savage. Dude. Yeah, I love all this paneling.
We talked a lot about Robin, and now we've talked a lot about maybe the prerequisites to what Emu is doing, and maybe there's multiple stages to it, right? A lot of people were focusing on something kind of in between those two that we've only lightly focused on this stream so far, is the text on those like spellbinding circles that Emu just kind of, or Gunko just kind of drew with their finger. And I think it would be really interesting. Kube, you had mentioned that in One Piece magazine, it stated, right, that Robin can read like 6 like languages or something like that. And
yeah, so basically
we certainly don't know what all that could be, but I think, there's a good chance Robin might be able to understand what all of that is as well.
Yeah, so basically, for those who don't know, the stories like the Ace novel and the Law novel are also in those magazines, and they're like basically notes of Oda, and then someone will write it and Oda will supervise, so they're somewhat canon. And so among those stories, other than the Ace novel and one of the magazine, is Robin's time during the 2 years with the Revolution Army. And Koala and Sab will keep asking questions about the languages that she's reading about. And she's explained that those are not polyglyph. And there's like a dozen of lost languages that most people don't know how to read or don't even know about it. And she's able to read 5 others than the polyglyphs as well. And when she explains how she's able to is, ever since she's born, it's similar to Nami and what Frankie and Nami have said about their gifts. Ever since she's a kid, she's felt a connection.
He's intentionally given us these letters as well too. Now this is something we can look back on and be like, oh, those are a similar style text to what we've seen on the circles.
Because when we saw the Harley texts, when we saw the Harley texts, and like when we first got into the Owl Library, we were all wondering like, what the hell is that? That's not poneglyph. So I'm very curious, because Robin didn't seem to have a problem reading that either, and it is really interesting if there is going to be some sort of implementing her knowledge, or maybe even stuff that, like, we see the tree getting burned down, but like if Punk Records has any potential storage of some of that knowledge as well, then that would, I don't know, I think it could be really interesting if that might tie in. And seeing as how Scopper is the only person who had any way of slowing down the regeneration, and he's also one of the very few people in the story who's been to Laugh Tale and pretty much knows it all. If there is a tie-in between those elements, so like maybe if we don't learn it from Scopper directly, or if we only learn part of it, that could be another part of the equation. If
Chopper learns it from Scopper, it'd be amazing. It'd just be so wonderful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. Finish your thought.
No, you're cool. You're really Chopper pilled right now. I get it.
I am. I'm super duper Chopper pilled right now. Live action Chopper is my new god.
Wild. But I do think that there's going to be, because we don't see Sommers completely dispatched by what Scopper did to him, which I kind of thought he was toast. So seeing him well enough and standing and speaking in this chapter leads me to believe that what Scopper is aware of and capable of is only a part of the equation. Maybe Robin will be able to figure out how to fill the gaps and finish the job, or maybe Loki might know, if he had already done it several years back, when everything went down with Harold. We talked a little bit about that. I don't remember who brought it up. I think it might have been Knack, but how that could be like really, really cool if we get, like, since Scopper is on his way down there and we haven't seen our monster trio or Loki in ages now, it feels like, if they figure out like how to truly deal with this.
Yep. Because, well, they're being left out of the story for a reason here at this point. Like, and this is something we talked about last week as well, if you checked out our chapter discussion, but the pacing is off the charts here. Like, how fast is all this stuff going down? Like, is it happening within minutes of each other. This is all happening at the exact same time because it seems like there's big distance being traveled for some characters, but at the same time, all these massive hockey strikes and, you know, the fire and Gabon falling down into the underworld, and we see nothing of our trio. So there is some questions about how much time has passed since this attack or this onslaught began, but I think this is the time we get some answers to the trio, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't figure out what happens with these giants next chapter. If we do go right to the trio.
Bro, if we cut away, that'd be crazy. Like,
I'll lose my mind.
What's happening?
I will legitimately lose my mind.
But also, like what you were saying, Vex, about us needing the next step. Like, Scopper is only so much of the puzzle, and it's absolutely right because Summers is still coming back together. He's still piecing himself back together, and like, we were so sure we had an answer 2 chapters ago, and now it's like, okay, well, our answer's only temporary, even at the best of times.
yeah, and I mean, we had that one thing to cling on to give us hope against just those 3 combatants in Killingham, Summers, and Gunko. But now there's just the things are so much more infinitely stacked against our favor. You know, like,
and we can only expect Killingham is up the ante and increase the power level of his forces after getting that slanderous talk down from Emu.
So I actually have
say something.
I have something with this chapter. So I did since yesterday. You know, we had a bit of a discussion beforehand, and I actually did a bit of research throughout the chapters because it was something that kind of bothered me, or something that Dory said. And when he says, "I've never felt this strong," there's actually 2 other people who made similar comments after eating a devil fruit, and that's Blackbeard saying, "I never felt power like this" when he was telling to Ace after he explains to him what happens to Tatch, and Luffy says after eating the fruit, "I've never felt this happy." And then obviously people are saying that it doesn't like the book is coming out of fire, but I looked at it, it almost looks like it's also like white and black clouds. I'm wondering if nothing the book itself, but the power that sourced this book is also the same power that sources devil fruit that was created by the Sea Devil. Don't know how long, at least 800 plus years.
Yeah, I think
Because what Dory says, it's the same thing as the devil fruit users. I would go deeper, just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I went deeper on Blackbeard, chapter 440. The way he even says it, it's very weird. It's like, and I have it in front of me where he says that he was looking for this fruit. This fruit was calling for me, and I needed to kill my friend to get it. It's just bad luck. And now Blackbeard is demanding to become king. So we were talking at the beginning of the thing, like it almost is very similar to devil fruits. You know, like what if that's like when the devil fruit user eats the fruit, like Shanks has made a comment of it. But what if it's literally we're seeing the origin story of devil fruits, you know, their primeval power.
I really think that the community at large needs to take another look, like with this new power system, especially in how little we know about it. Because you mentioned the book Summoning. I think the community needs to look at Romance Dawn. I believe it's the second one. The villain in that uses the very similar power system, summons weapons and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have heard other creators talking about it as well. It's definitely something to look at deeply with it. Because even the manner of which his summonings are drawn, I'm blanking on his name. Vex, what is it again?
Shupiel
O'Neil, as Dax Sake says.
Mephistopheles.
Yeah, Mephistopheles.
The deep lore. I'm sorry.
Speaking of, I was right.
Listen. Are you done? I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
No, you can cut him off.
Yeah, I've done it twice to Vex on accident, so like, go for it.
Yeah, cut him off all you want.
You're talking about the book here, and I just want to shout out Shades in chat because he said, like, what if that book is the treasure of Mary Joa that
Oh yeah, I saw that earlier. That is brilliant.
As if like that spell book is the treasure, and I thought that was genius because I don't. There's no way to put my head on any idea one way or the other yet, but it's almost as if they're pulling things from another place when they're using the abyss. So that idea really intrigues me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you stayed on the book, because I also wanted to bring up something about the book. Is that a lot of people are talking about, oh, is this a metaphysical construct? Is this like from another realm? Is this like, are the pages of the book, are they like Viver cards, or like there could be so many different things that like surrounding this book, and people thinking that it's just poofed out of thin air and conjured. I don't think that that's the case at all. We see a mark on the book, and I'm pretty sure that that's just the mark of the abyss, allowing for this to travel. If it's traveling from the abyss specifically, that's fine, but like I think that what we were talking about, the power, like the cascading power hierarchy here of Emu, we can't forget the Holy Land is like literally a sea of flames right now. Like actual Emu, not just Gunko, but like actual Emu might also be having to fight people right now. And if they need this book, this could just be the way of them just like, okay, I'm going to use the book right now, and then you summon it back to you. And it's fast travel, you know, for like, which is what we originally saw the Mark of the Abyss being used for when Shamrock and Gunko first touched down. So I think that this book is not something ethereal. Yeah, I don't think it's something ethereal. I think that it is something very important. It's tangible, yes, but it's very important nonetheless. But I don't think that it's like a mystical in that. I think it is a physical object, and
I'm with you on that.
The things that contained within it may be, I don't know, it'd be really interesting if this book, through some devil fruit power or through some other power even beyond what devil fruit are capable of and what Haki are capable of, maybe I don't know, there's the implications of this are crazy, but I think it makes the most sense that like, yeah, that book is integral for either Emu themselves and or Emu's like avatars, like their vessels, to be able to use these powers more freely. Because like otherwise, why did it need to be conjured in the first place? Because if you're conjuring up a book, you could just conjure up the shotgun, but the shotgun and dagger came after the book. So I think that like that's the real oddball in the equation there that really sticks out, that we need to focus on more, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I love that you focus on the book, because the book seems to be the key to all this, and I love we're getting the text. We touched on it earlier, but this is huge, because if we see this text again, I'm telling you, this text is somewhere else in the story, boys. Start rereading, because Oda's giving it to us now to tell us, like, open your eyes. The answers are starting to come in front of us.
There is something I'm very curious about with the new version of the giants, the new Onis in a way. I want to see if they're able to swim, because we were always told, like, especially like the devil fruits, especially because if the book, whatever that power of the book is the origin of everything, what if we had it wrong with devil fruit users? Like, it wasn't the power that were cursed, but it was cursed people who the power came from. Like, the initial had the curse themselves. You know, it's like the other way around, because the way it's phrased, we always believe that first they had those powers and then the sea devil cursed them all. But what if it's like it was even before devil fruit? It's like, what we know about devil fruit users, they're talking about the people that those dreams came from. Like, they were the one that were cursed, not the dreams themselves. Because I always found it very interesting.
They all got tridents as well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. I just noticed something funny.
Because that could be interesting.
Go ahead, sorry.
Again, that could be interesting. Like, back in the day, there was like this curse of not being able to swim. It wasn't just because you had a special power, but there was actually an entity cursing people, you know, with that book.
Yeah, what a wild chapter, ladies and gentlemen.
We've talked about a lot of the different. Are there any stones that we have left unturned as far as what we're thinking about, like Robin's significance in the upcoming chapters? Obviously, the monster trio, and Scopper and Chopper and Loki, and then the craziest Emu reveals.
One big connection to this chapter, and Emu in particular, I think we need to touch on, and I think as soon as I say it, everybody will have a point to make. But all these references to early One Piece with Impel Down, and the figurative hell that it was, and the people that would disappear, said to be taken away by demons at night. And yeah, a lot of this imagery is very similar to that. This uniform we see Gunko in, we spoke on a lot yesterday. But this is just like Magellan, just like Domino. Who we had a whole bunch of people that we said had this uniform, but it all gives like the same vibes. Shiryu, yes, exactly. Like,
and also
there's something to do with Impel Down, and like maybe that's a source of despair. We've talked about like how the world government likes to keep people in this constant pity, you know what I mean, to draw from that energy, but maybe there's something else to Impel Down. We're not
exactly
sure.
I think that it's like you just said, man. It's whatever Emu is doing, they have to break the person in some regards first. Like with Brogy, they showed him that like he is not even close to strong enough to take them on. You know what I mean? Like immediately, that would break anyone's reality. And it feels to me like they probably, for people like Gunko, who they're taking control over, they probably need to break them mentally as well. It's Will of Dreams said it best. Shout out Will of Dreams. He's in the chat right now. When we were discussing the chapter earlier in the week, see, Chopper is on my mind, guys. But when we were discussing it earlier in the week, that maybe Emu is using Impel Down as like a almost like a baptism or ritualistic place to break down these people, and that's in the ones that they are taking are people who could potentially be vessels for it. Because you think about the baptism by fire
and stuff, and then
you
well,
freeze
right?
them. Like, exactly. As slavery in general. And then they brand the slaves as well, which could be a mark that will allow Emu to take control of them like that. This is maybe something similar to the Abyss. Maybe it's a contract in and of itself that will allow Emu to, take control over them, having an army right there at will.
I won't lie. I do think I could see the flaw that, because Dory definitely is, or I don't know which one is which, but Dory and Brogy, right? They have a strong will, but yet take it over and it is it, right? And it kind of makes you think of the way he.
There is
that's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah. Let me spit. It kind of makes you think of something that we saw with the same mistake with Big Mom's Devil Fruit, where emotion plays an impact on it. And like you're bringing up is the fact that he got insulted and got emotional about it. And so I'm wondering if that's like the big problem of Emu's powers. Once you give into the emotions, it's over.
Well, we know from your favorite character, Cube, Miss Golden Week, that drawings can control people's emotions. And maybe when we do
his
get
favorite's Django.
Yeah, but maybe when we do
Golden
Week's up
Django
there.
then
maybe when we do get like a full colored version of the manga or the anime episodes of this, we'll see that these rings and these different summoning circles all will have different color schemes as well.
Oh my god. If we get the Gunko transformation and she's colored like the Gorosei are, I'm actually gonna riot. Like, just I think it should be solid black. I really think it should be solid black. I'm not gonna lie.
Or like the same hue that they give Robin, maybe like that black red hue.
Yeah.
But we
Fleur.
Go ahead, you.
Yeah, because I didn't finish my initial take, and I'm wondering if someone else had that same ability, because I've been looking at other Delphood users to see if there's something. It sounds like very interesting. Do you know who else, while he's fighting using his Delphood, uses emotional mind games on people? Blackbeard. With Ace, he started taking advantage after he started mocking the whole Whitebeard pirate thing and saying how he's going to go after his son, after your brother. Then Ace gets emotional. Same thing with Law. He starts playing with emotional stuff, and Law starts getting upset with him. So I'm wondering if the Yami also works with emotion. The darkness.
Well, I think
it plays on the emotions.
Emotions are a good way to hamper someone's hockey.
Yeah.
Just to bounce off that.
Yeah. And when we saw Ace and Impel Down, we don't know if it's because of the Yami, the darkness fruit, or it's just when he went through an Impel Down. Ace almost had no free will. Like his will was sapped away from him. Like he almost like Koala when we saw her with Fisher Tiger.
And
like,
think about
there was almost nothing.
Anybody who has a will strong enough that you couldn't be able to break them is sent straight to level 6. Except for In the case of Buggy, because they didn't realize his clown hockey was so powerful.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Wild.
Right.
No, I think that it's really interesting that we are talking about this because it bring the last point that I really wanted to bring up about the chapter. It does tie in directly with this, so this feels like it flows nice. Is seeing this power being exerted and hearing that, like, you know, Brogy was like, oh yeah, like I've never felt this like free or strong or whatever. And it's specifically something that Emu says that like it removes, you know, all sense of like logic and reason. It gives you this crazy power, and you're turned into a giant, like a bigger version of yourself, and you have like you're nigh immortal, like or like timeless. You give up your like, so it's really interesting because it's a tempting offer, but regardless, you're giving up your sense of self. And although it can give you the feeling of freedom, this isn't freedom. This isn't what Luffy's all about. Luffy is like we have the warrior of liberation. Exactly. So
you are always under
it's like a
thumb.
facade. And it's like, you know, internship, for lack of a better YouTube safe word, versus like legitimate freedom. And it's like, it's so perfect and so obvious now that we're on this side of things that Oda would play things out this way. But like before we got this reveal, there was no true real way of knowing exactly how it would play out. And like Lucas had a full theory about the Faustian deal, and like I told him earlier, I'm like, I think it's kind of obvious that it would play out in some sort of fashion like that, but to the degree of how literal it is displayed to us here, in that there is like full on devils or demons, for lack of better terms, like our Straw Hats, our protagonists, are gonna have to face. It's just it's so wild. You know, when
I initially said in that Faustian deal video, you know, that either Emu had made a deal with the devil or that they were making deals with others as like some kind of devil, I never once thought that it would be like their legitimate power, like that is what they're doing to people. Because like you said, it's such an obvious thing once you read the story and actually like look for that kind of thing. Like I say all the time when I'm talking about that theory as well, is every time you eat a devil fruit, that's a deal with the devil, because you're trading your ability to swim for the powers. And it's always so, it's fascinating how much it was actually in front of our faces. And then also this is funny to me. It's just a small little bitty tidbit thing I have to say, or else I'll kick myself in the ass about it later, is that I had that deal, or that theory about the Faustian deal, which is based around Faust, obviously. And then in One Piece, there's the character Faust, who is a black cat who is like the only confirmed magician of a crew. And then we get Emu, who is a black magic and is doing Faustian deals with people. Like, it's just so funny to me. Like that's such an Oda thing to do.
So I won't lie.
Well,
oh yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it might be because of the French version I'm reading, where French language is more precise. So there was always comment of Luffy's fruit by Shanks was Lucifer's fruit. It wasn't just a devil fruit. It had a special term. But for me, it also, like, the reason why I'm not really that shocked as well is, taking aside what we see as a devil, if you think about it in terms of like of what a devil wants, like what we know about the devil, if you take out the aesthetic of it, the devil could be anything, right? But if you think about it, the Gorosei and Emu are definitely devils since the beginning. Just never clocked into it, you know, like because believe that the devil doesn't exist, push away from Nika, instead of like openly destroying you, manipulating you to destroy yourself. Well, you know, that I feel like in a way since the beginning we just never realized it. They are devils, but you know, it's like it's the way Oda had wrote it. We never really clocked it instantly. Oh yeah, those are devils.
The greatest thing the devil could ever do is convince humans that God does not exist. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's exactly what Emu did, because if God doesn't exist,
I don't think that's how that goes.
Like, it's not. I'm paraphrasing for sure. But like, you know what I'm saying though, is that if
the story is played with the idea that, you know, power corrupts all since the beginning, and like even in Shellstown, that was the whole theme. Like, power can corrupt, and this is like the most literal he can make it. Like, I give you power and it corrupts. Like, it is so on the nose to say that this is at a left field. Anybody who's questioning where this come from is reading the wrong story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like I keep saying, guys, chat, check out Romance Dawn. Look for Shaquille O'Neal. It's I'm telling you, that is where Oda tested the waters with at least 2 of his power systems, and one of them he didn't tell us about until now. So like
yeah. And I mentioned it a long time ago as well, as a fellow creator, a wonderful pillar of the community, a goat, Dak Sake, and I have talked ad nauseum about what the celestial dragon's role could be at the end of the story. He put out a whole video on it that is really, really solid, and the Charlos agenda is hilarious, and I'm here for it. But legitimately, my line of thinking, and there's a lot of chess parallels there too, but my line of thinking is that they are basically backups. Like, is like if we dispose of like the actual emu that is in, like, all of these people are world nobles. Like, there was a need to have kings, people in positions of authority, potentially here on Elbaf, in order for their power to continue to cascade. Well, they have a whole nation of people in positions of authority at their disposal at any given time. So, like, hypothetically, let's say the Gorosei are dealt with, let's say the Gaznais are dealt with, and then Emu is, gasping their last breath, and then they're dispatched, and then all of a sudden there's just another Emu in like one of these celestial dragons that was like, I don't know. I just think that it's crazy to think that how deep this power could go. Yeah. And what to expect from the end of the story. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, this potentially has the most insane like warping of what we can all expect from the future of the story of any chapter we've ever gotten, outside of potentially the mural and 1044 Gear 5 itself. I
have to agree completely. And if I'm honest, I think it is black magic, like 100%. I've said it in our past chapter discussions.
It is.
It has to be because of what happened with Brook when he got teleported to that island. What did those people say verbatim in the viz? They're like, our black magic worked. We summoned a demon. Like, it has to be black magic.
We're trying to summon Satan, is what they.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But also,
they're trying to summon Satan.
Also, think of the term what black magic is. It's like it's powers for nefarious reasons. That's definitely black magic. Like, you take out the semantics of what we know, like the original, because that's what Oda likes to do.
I'd even challenge that definition and say black magic is like unknown magic or occult.
Yeah, it's the occult. Yes.
It's like it's like as soon as it becomes common, it's no longer black magic. Like using it is more like taboo.
Or it's restricted. Yeah, it's taboo. Yes, perfect word for it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, for me, all magic is unnatural because that's a point of magic. But yeah, I see what you mean. But yeah, like, this is definitely on the realm of what we know about black magic. It's like, we don't need someone to spoon feed us saying, oh, this is black magic. Like, the way they're doing it, there's definitely not light magic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the way they're doing stuff. So it's definitely on that realm.
Yeah.
And Lucas, there's something you wrote in the chat, which I love, because you talked about what if, Emu has the void fruit, or power controls the void. I said, what if it's this crazy thing? A void sentry the void is a reference to Emu. If Emu is supposed to be considered as the void, is that basically void sentry is a comment. It's been 800 years since Emu came to power. Like, that's the term void sentry. If void, and that's, you know what I mean? So I do like the you put a bug in the chat about yeah, they are the void. This is his era.
Yeah, it's it's what I initially thought when in Egghead we had the Reverie flashback and we saw Emu, and the way that they were absorbing, and then obviously I had already been on the train of thought that they were giving people powers, and then when Saturn died, that was confirmation on that, you know what I mean? And I think that it just makes more sense. And then I really liked what Whitebeard, goated username, said in the chat about an abyss no me kind of thing. It's in the same vein as that, and maybe that's what people are traveling with. I don't know. It could also be the underworld. You know, Brooke could tie into this more than we already think he is going to.
It could obviously be like so many of these different potential devil fruit powers, and maybe the character that is Emu had used a simple devil fruit power. Like I always talk about how Doflamingo just had a basic paramecia, and he ended up using it in such creative ways that he was able to facilitate like such a ridiculous amount of different possibilities, and he was a ridiculously powerful devil fruit user and creative in his own right. And we don't see enough of that. If like, let's say there was this godlike crazy being, like one of the things that are depicted in the mural, and Emu was able to bind it and take its powers into themselves, using just a simple basic devil fruit, I think that would be cool. But I think it's also just as possible that they themselves do not possess a devil fruit and just simply are that all powerful.
Yes, exactly.
Being, you know
Exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's
You said perfectly what I was saying before about devil fruits. That's like the source of it all, you know? Like it's not the devil fruit is a byproduct. We're going to the actual source. Like this could also be something that's connected back, like it could be comparable to the eternal flame that they were talking about. Imagine what we could do with the eternal flame.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like
exactly.
Stuff the modern age can't figure out yet.
Yeah. So so guys have a rating for this chapter? Oh, sorry.
1 second before we get into final thoughts and ratings, boys.
Yeah.
Have to give a major shout out to 3 Day Trip. She was the one who brought the Romance Dawn stuff to me, and then we both were talking about it in the chapter discussions for a long time. So seeing that stuff in this chapter, I know that she is probably over the moon. Guys, 3 Day is the best member of the Eternal Dawn, so shout outs to her. But before we get into that, you were saying something, and it was really spicy. Oh, Vex, that is exactly what I think. I think that Emu probably does not have a devil fruit. Whatever the devil fruits are the people who are wanting Emu out of power, even if it be subconsciously, I think. That's why devil fruits come from will and dreams and hopes. It is the hope of the people for change. It's oh man, guys,
I have something a bit better. Dude. Ready for this?
Hit me.
What if right now, like it already started with Emu cursing people, and devil fruit is Nika or Joy Boy freeing them their dreams. Like it comes afterwards. This could also answer Emu's anger, cursing people, and Joy Boy finding he's the word of liberation. He is going to be the solution, because if it's contract, what would be the opposite of contract? Liberating people. That would be the opposite.
Breaking the contract,
so which is yeah.
It's breaking the contract, brother. It's exactly. We had talked yesterday, and I said that maybe those terms that Emu said at the beginning when they were talking, like we'd said earlier, about Brogy taking Harold's head and declaring him and Dory kings of Elbath were part of the contract, and maybe you could stop them from doing that and it'll break the contract. But I love the take that Nika will be the one to break these contracts by liberating those who have fallen into the contract. Because as bad as it sounds, could mean redemption for the Gorosei.
No. We don't need redemption for the Gorosei. I'm sorry. We don't. I said
Cube,
this. I have no.
Cube will not rest until he has justice for Saturn.
No. So listen, I can see maybe a storyline
How could they do
certain
like that?
Certain celestial dragons, sure. But when you are people who have done, I don't know, in 800 years, 30,000 hunting games, we're organizing it. I am sorry, dude. You're doing the Fire Festival for 800 years? Yeah, you're guilty. I'm sorry, man. The Gorosei are the only ones that don't need a redemption. I can see celestial dragons. Heck, I could even be willing to do a redemption for Orochi if it was possible. But celestial dragons, the Gorosei, hell no.
Crazy.
Hell no. No Gorosei. Sorry.
No,
Would it
I
be a
love
stream
it.
if
This
we
is what
did
it's
it?
about.
Exactly. The passion. Exactly. Will, you see the vision, brother. Nika was wished for Emu. Good. Maybe need curses to become more powerful. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good. Like they need the magic. Comment. That's good.
there was one of the three worlds. I'm sorry to give you more, but that comment of people wishing for something in one of the three worlds.
Yeah.
That could be actually the manifestation of Nika. Back in the day.
Legitimately could be. They needed liberation, man.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry.
No. It's exactly what we're here for. This chapter was spicy. As Vex said in the chat, I could not put it better. It is entirely game changing. This is something that no theorist really could have predicted what was going to happen in Elbaf. No one. And to see it play out the way it has been nothing but spectacular. There's no other word for it. So, gentlemen, let me ask you guys final thoughts on the chapter, and finally, what do you rate the chapter out of 10? Let's start with my first mate, my brother in arms, Kube with the Red Sea.
Okay, so taking with everything into account, and a lot of this I've been talking for a very long time. It might be biased, but I am putting this as a 10.0000000 infinite. It's for me. It's like it's why I've been waiting for the last maybe since the end of Dressrosa. There was some stuff that just didn't make sense. So it might be biased, but yeah, it's a 10 for me.
Yeah. Neck, final thoughts. Rating out of 10.
I think Vex hit nail on the head. This chapter totally changed the direction of the arc. Was absolutely game changing. It's one of those moments in the story where there's no turning back from. It reminded me a lot of, when the entire world, like we were hyped when the world got the message about like the Void Sentry being a thing. This is a whole nother level. I would give it just a 10 on impact. Like you can't really like if something's going to change the entire direction of a story and really do like what this chapter does, then I don't think like I can be nitpicky about any particular part of it. Like this is what the story is about. We're looking for these big reveals, and I'll give it a 10.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. And Vexus, what about you?
Man, it is crazy. Like it feels like unreal to be here. Like when I first read the scans, and then I was talking to people about it, I thought I got scammed. I thought I got a fake link or something. Like this, it's so insane to think about, and like I can't really. I feel like it's more insane that we're not going on break after this. We get another chapter this next week, and like after 1044, we had a month to pontificate and ruminate and figure out how to feel about what the implications this has for the rest of the story. No, we're in the thickest of it right now, and it's insane.
Into the thick of it.
Elbaf started extremely rocky for me with timelines and inconsistencies and the whole Legoland stuff, and I've been very outspoken about, I want to let Oda cook, and I want to let him, do what he wants to do with his story. And there have been chapters very recently that I took a little bit of issues with, but nonetheless, I gave a 10 out of 10 to the mural chapter. I gave a 10 out of 10 to the Robin and Saul reuniting, and it wasn't just for the individual moments, but for the entire chapters that earned their coveted spots and praise and whatnot so high in where I rank them. And I think I'd be entirely remiss to not give a 10 out of 10 to this. I caught up on 1044. So the first current chapter I ever read was on this level, and it just feels so crazy to me that years later here we are still getting these reveals that change so much about this story we all feel like we know so much about. It's like literally us four here and so many of the people in the chat as well yap for hours on end about this series every single week, even when there's not a new chapter. And this is insane. I don't feel like I've had the carpet pulled out from underneath me. I feel like I've been given so many more things to plug into all of these crazy equations. Every time we get new theory fodder, everyone tries to like see oh, does this fit now? Does this work now? Does this make sense? This is one of the biggest pieces to the puzzle we've ever gotten outside of the obvious, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This, I didn't think the mural could climb any higher. This makes the mural more than what it was when we got it.
Yeah,
because now we know a little bit more about it, so it's just insane. I didn't think we would get any answers or anything concrete on what the mural was for hundreds of chapters. You know what I mean?
And all happened in one arc. It wasn't the usual. Let me introduce you to this one thing. 7 arcs later, let me get back into it. Is like the same arc. It's like it's crazy.
I got spoiled for this, and to tell you guys, I know I try not to be braggadocious about it, but I did get a pretty massive dub with this, right? I had a whole theory about this, and its ties to Emu.
Really?
And doing like, you can tell.
Really?
Couldn't tell, right?
Okay.
Damn, I was about to be all like really thankful to the community for like, and everything. But yeah, you ruined the moment with your slanderousness.
Sorry, I had to.
No, you're good. But no, seriously, nothing could have prepared me for this to happen. Like Vex was saying, this came out of nowhere. When I wrote that theory forever ago, I thought it was going to be a thematic element. You know what I mean? The whole thing. That's all I thought. This is going to be a thematic element. Something that happened with Emu, not something they do actively, like I said towards the beginning of the stream. But to see everything play out the way it did was nothing short of fantastic. It could not have been any better. The reveal of Emu, and the way that they use this power system. Obviously, we've not seen their real body yet, but it's phenomenal. It is earth-shattering, and just like you, Vex, I caught up 5 chapters after what you did. I was at 149, the defeat of Kaido. And to see... Sorry, guys. They're roasting me in the Discord chat right now. It's making me laugh. No, but to see, like you said, just another moment within the story itself, expand what is left of the story to such an extreme it's hard to put into words. It really is. Guys, 10 out of fucking 10. No other way to say it. 10 out of 10. That is 10s across the boards, y'all. This was an A+++ chapter. With that, chat, we will be signing off for the night. The One Piece is real, of course, but Knack, take us away.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to tell everybody I had a lot of fun doing the live. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like the stream. Leave a little comment afterwards. Tell us all if you'd rather see us do this live every week. We appreciate the input, but we'll see you all at the next sunrise.